All right, guys. Immediate instant reaction from Alabama's win against Mississippi State. Bama wins 49-9. Why are we doing this rapid reaction? To tell everyone that overreacted last week, Bama fans and non-Bama fans, but specifically Bama fans, why you overreacted like idiots just a calendar week ago. So let's get into it. Bama goes on the road against Starkville, a place where they haven't really struggled much. There was a close game in 2017 once. They like to bring it up all the time. They go in coming off a loss. We all saw the stats all week long. Since 2008, Bama had lost a total of 18 games coming off of a loss before tonight. The tie was 15-2. The only two losses were two Sugar Bowl losses to Utah and Oklahoma. Coming off a regular season loss since 2008, Bama was 8-1. And again, those the one loss was to Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl. They were undefeated in the games following a loss in the regular season since 2008 under Saban. They improve on that mark tonight. They were also winning by an average of 21 points per game in those victories. The Tide did nothing to disappoint at all and improve those numbers. So Bama bounces back again. Why is any of this important? Because I know a lot of you are going to say, well, it's Mississippi State. It doesn't matter, because that's what we do as fans, and we can't give credit to anyone for whatever reason. Bama goes into this game after looking just dismal on defense last week, right? All of the rumors about, or all the uproar from fans, Pete Golding needs to be fired. Pete Golding, for the second straight year in his defense, go up against a Mike Leach offense and this offensive guru that made up the air raid and holds them to 0 touchdowns and holds them to their lowest total for total yards and total points scored of the entire season up until this point for this year and the entire season last year. 120 minutes of football. Both years, Mike Leach had an extra week to prepare because they were coming off a bye week. Pete Golding's defense held him to 0 points. He also held them to an average of 130 yards less than their season averages for total yards, 100 yards less for the passing yards, and almost 20 points per game in back-to-back years. Pete Golding's defense was fantastic tonight, right? Again, I know they've had struggles against A&M, but maybe we just take a step back as fans and think we're overreacting to that game. And a week before that, he did the same thing. The numbers I just told you about for Mike Leach, or against the Mike Leach offense, he did the same thing to Lane Kiffin's offense. It was the #1 offense in the country in scoring and yards, especially in the first half. They're averaging over 33 points in the first half of games alone. He shuts them out. Bama wins by 3 touchdowns. And again, held Lane Kiffin to his lowest totals for total yards, rushing yards, and points scored since he's been the head coach at Ole Miss. Pretty damn good resume, if you ask me. Going back to the game tonight, Bama had a lot of flaws last week against A&M. They couldn't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They had 0 sacks. Will Anderson, who's obviously very outspoken this week with the media, he had 4 sacks on his own. Bama had 7 total in the game. And to put that in perspective, Mississippi State had given up just 5 total all year against Power 5 teams in 3 games. So lastly, Will Rogers, kid who obviously it's a kind of a dink and dunk offense, even though they put it up 50, 60 times a game. Will Rogers a little bit banged up in this game because they got after him all night. Bama comes out. He has no touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He had only 2 total this entire season going into tonight. He has 3 tonight from the Bama defense. It's almost like Bama got some starters back and they got healthy. And they didn't face Steven Garcia 2.0 and all is right in the world. We're not going to really get into the offense because I think it's kind of self-explanatory. All the stuff last week about Bryce Young couldn't do this or that against the blitz. He was fantastic against the blitz tonight. I don't have all of the numbers in front of me. At one point, though, he was 4 of 4 for 74 yards and a touchdown. They were 12 of 16 on 3rd down tonight after struggling mightily last week with that as well. But Bryce Young, just another ho-hum performance that I'm sure, like I said, will probably go largely unnoticed. 20 of 28, 348 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Brian Robinson didn't have an incredible night, in terms of like rushing yards production, but the guy had over 130 yards again. He's becoming a workhorse for this offense. Had 2 touchdowns, had about 60 yards, I believe, through the air and receiving as well. So the sky is not falling. Iowa loses today. Let the season play out. I still think that this Bama team is not anywhere close to the level that Georgia's playing at, and I don't think they will beat Georgia. But the sky is not falling because of one late night in College Station and a 3-point loss. So rest easy, Bama fans. Until our next overreaction, which I'm sure will take a couple of hours or a couple of days, we'll see you then.